I spent 30 years fixing other people's homes, but I never walked into my son's. It's not a metaphor. It's just the truth. My name's Rick, and I've been a contractor most of my life. I built porches, decks, kitchen remodels, even added second floors to houses that started out as cramped ranchers. But when it came to my own family? My own son? I left the foundation untouched and let it all rot underneath. This isn't some big confession. I'm not on my deathbed. I'm not in a hospital gown with a heart monitor beeping beside me. I'm just standing in my garage, staring at a pile of cedar planks I bought with cash because I didn't want a paper trail. The kind of wood you use when you want something to last longer than you do. I haven't talked to my son in 6 years. 6 years, 4 months, and 19 days if I'm being honest. Not that I've counted. Not like I wrote it down or anything. I just remember the day he walked out of my house and didn't look back. The door didn't slam. It just clicked shut, soft as a breath. That's what got me. Not the yelling. Not the accusations. Just the way he left, like he was done waiting for me to figure it out. The fight was about a toaster. No, really. A goddamn toaster. He asked if he could borrow mine because his broke, and I told him no. Said something about how grown men should be able to buy their own appliances. He didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me like I was someone he didn't recognize anymore. Then he said, "It was never about the toaster, Dad." And that was it. I watched him get in his car and drive away. Didn't try to stop him. Didn't call him later. I waited for him to cool off, and by the time I figured out he wasn't coming back, the bridge had already burned. So why now? Why am I in the garage at 11:48 p.m. hauling wood onto the workbench with these old joints cracking like cheap vinyl? Because I found out he has a son. My grandson. And I wasn't told by him, no. It came from a mutual friend, a guy named Donnie who used to work with me on siding jobs back in the day. Ran into him at the hardware store. We were catching up, talking about rot boards and weatherproof paint, and he says, "You seen pictures of Jake's kid? Cute little guy. Spit an image of him." I said, "Jake's kid?" He blinked. Said, "Oh. Thought you knew." I didn't. So I stood in the middle of aisle 5, between galvanized nails and adhesive caulking, and felt my legs go soft. Like someone had reached into my gut and twisted. That was 3 days ago. Since then, I haven't eaten much. Haven't slept. I keep thinking about what kind of man Jake is now. What kind of father? If he's patient. If he reads bedtime stories. If he picks his kid up when he cries, or if he tells him to toughen up like I always did. And I wonder, I pray, that he got it right. That he broke the cycle I never had the guts to. But just in case he didn't. Just in case there's still some fracture there, still some scar that echoes mine, I want to give him something. Not an apology. Not a phone call. I missed my window for words a long time ago. I want to give him something he can sit on. Something he can rock his son to sleep on. Something real. So I'm building him a porch swing. That's it. That's all. No big reunion. No teary-eyed hug in the rain. Just cedar and chain and gravity. I don't know if he'll use it. But I know I have to build it. Because in the end, that's the only way I ever knew how to say anything that mattered. With my hands. And if this is the last thing I ever make, maybe it can be the first thing that holds him. The first cut is clean. Cedar sings when it splits, not like pine, which groans and fights back. Cedar just gives. Like it understands what it's for. I measure twice, cut once. That old saying's lived longer than most marriages. Including mine. I haven't thought about Marlene in a while. Not really. Not since the divorce papers were signed 21 years ago on a sticky laminate table at Applebee's. She got the house, the dog, the better part of Jake's heart. I got the truck, a storage unit full of tools, and a quiet I learned to call peace. We weren't bad people. We just got tired. That kind of bone-deep tired you can't sleep off. I worked too many late nights. She cried into too many pillows. And Jake, He watched the whole damn thing like a kid stuck at the bottom of a well, listening to the echoes of people who swore they loved him. The first time he called me, sir, instead of Dad, I should have known. But I just laughed. Now, as I run my hand over the smooth edge of the swing seat, I wonder how many times I ignored signs like that. How many tiny cracks I let widen because I was too proud or too tired or too damn scared to say, "Come here, son! Sit with me." The garage smells like sawdust and sweat. Like the past. I've got the radio playing low, some old country station out of Memphis, and every now and then a song comes on that I swear I know, even if I don't recognize the words. Funny how grief sounds like memory with a steel guitar. Half the swing is done. The seat, the backrest, still needs arms, chain support, and a finish, but the bones are there. It's starting to look like something that matters. I pause to drink some coffee that's gone cold in the mug. It's been hours, and I haven't eaten. I don't feel hungry. I just feel hollow. Like I'm building this thing inside my ribs. When Jake was 12, he tried to build a treehouse in the backyard. Didn't ask me for help. Just grabbed some plywood and a hammer and went to war with a maple tree like he was born with blueprints in his head. I watched from the kitchen window. Thought it was good for him. Thought letting him struggle would teach him something. It did. It taught him I wouldn't come. When the boards fell and the hammer hit his foot and he sat down in the dirt, crying and holding his toe, I didn't move. Didn't open the door. Didn't kneel beside him. Didn't say, "I've got you." And later that night, when he iced it himself and told his mom he was fine, I acted like I hadn't seen a thing. Told him to clean up the mess out back. I thought I was teaching him resilience. Turns out I was teaching him how to grieve in private. That memory sticks like a nail too deep in the grain. Now I measure again. I cut. I drill pilot holes with care I never used to give a damn about. I hold every piece in place like it's delicate. Like if I rush it, the whole thing will split. Because maybe that's the lesson I never learned. It's not just about building something strong. It's about building something together. And I never gave him that. Not once. Maybe this swing won't fix anything. Maybe it'll sit on his porch, untouched, just like I sat through his childhood. But maybe, just maybe, one day he'll look at it and know. I built this with the part of me that couldn't say sorry. And the part of me that never stopped loving him. I pulled the old tackle box off the shelf, the one I haven't opened since Jake was 16. It's not for fishing, never was. I just kept spare bolts, screws, extra drill bits in it. Things that didn't seem to fit anywhere else. Funny. That's how I always thought of Jake. A good kid. Smart. Quiet. But always seemed like he didn't quite fit. Not in school, not on sports teams, and sure as hell not around me. He had his mom's eyes, soft, searching, and my silence. I don't know how many birthdays I missed. I remember excuses. Jobs that ran late. Projects that couldn't wait. One year I was across town framing an addition, and I just forgot. The cake was chocolate. I remember because Marlene sent me a picture. Jake's smile looked like he borrowed it. Like it didn't quite fit his face. Now I sit on this garage stool and sort through the screws in my palm like they're memories I can piece back together. The wood is ready, the frame's almost done. But the finish matters. Not just how it looks, but how it holds up. Rain, time, hands that grip the armrest too tight when the day's been long. I want it to last. Not because I think it'll get used, but because I want him to know I cared enough to try. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages. Not that I expected any. Jake doesn't even know I know. He doesn't know about the swing, the grandson, the cedar. He doesn't know that every night this week I've been sleeping in the garage chair because I'm afraid if I stop building, I'll stop matching altogether. Sometimes, I think about driving over. Just showing up. Not saying a word. Just leaving the swing on his lawn like a dog leaves bones on a doorstep. But that's not fair to him. Not again. I used to think forgiveness was a conversation. That if you just said the right combination of words, it unlocked something. But now I think forgiveness might just be the quiet decision to keep loving someone even when they won't hear it. Even when they don't see it. The radio cuts through the silence. A song I haven't heard in 20 years. It played once while I drove Jake to soccer practice. He must have been 10. I remember it because he was singing off key and I yelled at him to stop. I thought I was tired. Turns out I was breaking something and didn't know it. I sand the edges of the swing's armrest until my hands ache. Until my thumb splits and bleeds into the grain. And still, I don't stop. Not until the splinters are gone. Not until it's smooth enough for a child to lean against without catching a piece of pain. Because maybe that's what being a father is. Not protecting your kid from every hurt. But making damn sure they don't inherit yours by accident. I finish the last piece for the night, set it gently aside. And for the first time in 6 years I whisper, "Good night, son." The silence doesn't answer. But something in me softens. And that's enough to keep going tomorrow. I take a break and walk around the block. The swing's nearly done. All that's left is the final assembly and the stain. I want it to feel like a memory that aged well. Like something you'd find on an old farmhouse with stories etched into every groove. The air smells like damp concrete and someone else's barbecue. The sun's dipping behind the roofs, throwing long shadows across the street. I pass a house with wind chimes. Another with a kid's bike tipped over on the lawn. It hits me, Jake never had a bike. He asked once. I said no. Said the neighborhood was too dangerous. Truth was, I didn't want to teach him. Didn't want the patience it required. Said maybe next year. Next year turned into never. He never asked again. I make it back to the garage and stare at the swing. I run my hand over the grain like it'll speak to me. Like maybe it'll say, asterisk. It's enough. But it doesn't. I remember our old porch. Not the kind with wraparound banisters and lemonade in mason jars. Ours was just a slab of concrete with a single folding chair. I used to sit out there after work, beer in hand, dirt on my boots, and stare at the sky like it owed me something. Jake used to stand in the doorway. Hover. Like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to join me. Sometimes, I'd nod at the chair next to me. Sometimes I didn't. When he finally got the courage to ask me questions, about girls, about life, I'd give short answers. Or tell him to ask his mom. Or worse, change the subject to something I understood, like torque wrenches or tax deductions. I think about that now. How that porch was big enough for both of us, but always felt too small. That's what this swing is, really. It's a second chance at a seat that was always empty. I flip the swing over, checking the joints. Each screw is snug. Each joint tight. It's ready. I wipe my brow and look around the garage. I see everything I've built over the years, shelving units, tables, workbenches. All solid. All useful. All quiet. But none of them held the weight of love. Until now. I load the swing into the back of the truck. Wrap it in an old army blanket so the chains don't scratch the finish. It takes effort, lifting it alone. But I manage. I sit in the driver's seat and start the engine. It coughs awake like it resents the hour. The gas light's on, but I don't care. I've got just enough to make it to Jake's place. I haven't been there since he moved out. Donnie gave me the address. Said he lived in a modest house on the edge of town, near a park. Said the backyard had a tree perfect for a swing. I drive in silence, streetlights blurring into streaks. Every mile feels like a page I should have written a long time ago. When I pull up to his house, it's quiet. Lights off. No movement. Just the gentle hum of a place that holds more life than mine ever did. I park across the street and kill the engine. And I just sit there. Hands on the wheel. Breath shallow. I don't know if I'll knock. I don't know if I'll leave it on the lawn and walk away. I just know. I'm here. And that's more than I was for far too long. I open the door. Step out. The swing creaks gently in the truck bed, waiting. And for the first time in years, so am I. It's colder than I expected. The kind of cold that creeps into your hands first, makes you question every decision you've made tonight. My fingers tighten around the edge of the truck bed, the cedars swing beneath the blanket like a secret I'm not sure I have the right to tell. Jake's house is small but clean, newer siding, a porch light that hasn't been turned on. There's a tricycle tipped over in the yard. It doesn't belong to Jake, it belongs to the life he made after me. The one I wasn't invited into. I keep thinking about that. About the fact that he raised a child without ever needing to ask me how. Maybe that's the part that stings. Not just that he did it without me, but that he did it better. A porch swing doesn't make up for missed birthdays or the way I shrugged off his questions like they were inconveniences. But it's something. A plank and chain apology that might not say enough, but still speaks in the only language I ever understood: build, give, leave quietly. I open the tailgate, slow and careful, like I'm afraid it'll scream. I unwrap the swing like it's fragile, like it's his newborn and I'm finally being trusted to hold it. It's beautiful. Smooth, sturdy, with curves in the armrests and beveled edges that won't snag skin. The finish catches the porch light from the neighbor's house across the street. It gleams like something worth keeping. I carry it toward the lawn, step by slow step, and I feel it. The tremble. The doubt. Like maybe this is a selfish act. Maybe I'm doing this so I can sleep better, not because it'll mean anything to him. Maybe I'm trying to build my way out of a grave I dug with silence and hard hands. Halfway across the grass, I stop. Jake's front door is 5 steps away. There's a dim glow behind the curtains. Not enough to say he's awake. Just enough to remind me that people live here. That life is happening, with or without me. I set the swing down. Not on the porch. Not in the driveway. Just beneath the tree, where Donnie said he played catch with his son. I run the chain through the eyelets. Secure them like muscle memory. A knot here. A bolt there. It holds. And then I stand back and look at it. The swing sways gently in the breeze, as if someone's already sitting in it. As if the ghosts of what could have been are still hanging on, hoping I'll speak. I want to knock. God, I want to knock. Not to be let in. Not even to say sorry. Just to hear his voice one more time. To tell him the swing is for him. For his son. For all the years I spent not knowing how to love him right. But my hand won't lift. It just won't. Because deep down, I think I know, some doors stay closed because opening them would make us reckon with what's behind them. And I don't know if Jake wants that. I don't know if I can survive it. So I do the only thing I've ever done well. I leave. Quiet. Careful. Like I was never here. But I don't drive off just yet. I sit in the truck with the engine off and the cold pressing into my chest. And I watch that swing, my last attempt at fatherhood, rock gently under a tree I never planted. And for once, I don't feel like building anything else. I just wait. And hope that someday, when the wind shifts just right, he'll sit in it. And maybe, just maybe, he'll understand. It's been 3 days. 3 days since I left the swing beneath that tree and drove home with the kind of silence in my chest that doesn't echo. The kind that just settles. I haven't heard anything. No call. No text. Not that I expected one. Jake owes me nothing. I keep telling myself that, like it's a prayer. Like it'll save me from the sharpness of wanting. Still, every time the phone buzzes, I check it too fast. Pretend I wasn't hoping. Then pretend it doesn't sting. The garage is too clean now. Tools in their places. Workbench wiped down. Swing-shaped void where something meaningful used to sit. I keep walking past it like maybe I'll find a second project waiting for me, but nothing does. Just sawdust on the floor and a mug with coffee gone bitter from the night I left. I should feel proud. I built something beautiful. I did something without expecting applause. But pride's a weird thing when it shows up this late. Feels more like an apology no one's asking for. On the 4th day, I drive past his house again. Just once. I tell myself it's coincidence. That I just happen to need something from the hardware store across town. That I'm not checking to see if the swing's still there. But I am. It is. It's hanging. Straight. Steady. Not swaying. That means someone adjusted it. Tightened the chains. Leveled the frame. That means someone touched it. That means someone saw it. I grip the steering wheel tighter than I mean to. My breath catches. Not from joy. Not from pain. Just something in between. Like a splinter you thought you pulled, but part of it stayed. That night, I sleep in the garage. I don't mean to. I just end up there. Sitting on the stool. Looking at nothing. Listening to the house creak like it's breathing. In the morning, there's a knock. I'm not dreaming. It's real. Sharp. 3 taps. It's Jake. He stands in the doorway like he doesn't recognize me. Like he's not sure this was the right decision. His face is older. Softer around the jaw, but harder in the eyes. He's holding a coffee. Not for me. Just something to do with his hands. I saw the swing, he says. I nod. Say nothing. I've learned silence can be a question. He steps inside the garage. Looks around like he's stepping into a museum of his childhood. Points to the workbench. You still keep your screwdrivers in that drawer? I nod again. 3rd one down. He opens it. Pulls one out. Flips it in his palm like muscle memory. Then sets it back. We stand like that for a while. 2 men who share blood but not language. Finally, he says, You built it for him, didn't you? My son. I say, I built it for both of you. He doesn't smile. Doesn't cry. Just nods, like he's cataloging the answer. Then he says the thing I didn't expect. The thing that splits the foundation and lets light in. He asked me who made it. Said it felt like it was made by someone who missed people. I exhale. Quiet. Cracked. He's not wrong. Jake looks at me. Really looks. And I see it then, the part of him that still aches. The part that waited by the window all those years ago. The part that got tired of waiting and built his own world instead. He finishes his coffee. Sets the cup on the bench. He likes it, he says. We sit on it before bedtime. He thinks it makes the stories sound better. I manage a small smile. Not because it's enough, but because it matters. He turns to go. Hesitates. I don't forgive you yet. I know. But I saw the swing. And that's a start. And then he's gone. And the garage feels warm again. Not fixed. Not healed. Just possible. It's been 2 weeks since Jake knocked on my door. We haven't spoken since. That might sound like failure to someone else. But not to me. Not now. I've learned that silence, when it follows acknowledgement, can be its own kind of healing. I've been spending less time in the garage. Not because I don't want to build, but because I don't need to build to be heard anymore. That swing said what 30 years of hard silence never could. I've been thinking about the word. Legacy. I used to think it meant what you left behind, houses, bank accounts, last names etched into mailboxes. But lately I think legacy is just whatever outlives your pride. The swing still hangs there. I've driven past a few times. Once I saw Jake sitting on it, alone, phone in his hand, rocking slow. Another time, it was him and the boy, my grandson, curled against him like a secret held tight. That image has stayed with me. A comfort and a wound. I finally took out the old project journal. I kept it in the garage drawer. Used to scribble down designs, supply lists, things I wanted to try. On the last page, I drew the swing. Labeled every bolt. But I also wrote something else. Something I hadn't read in years. Maybe he'll sit in it. Maybe he won't. But I have to build it anyway. Because maybe some things are worth doing even if no one ever sees them. That line, some things are worth doing even if no one ever sees them, feels truer now than it ever did. The doorbell rings one afternoon. It's Jake. He's not holding coffee this time. He's holding a bag. Hey, he says. I brought some tools I borrowed. Thought maybe we could put something together. I blink. The words take a moment to land. What? Liam wants a treehouse. I open the door wider. Step aside. He walks past me like he belongs here. Like he always did. We head to the garage. I clear the bench. He unzips the bag. We talk about wood types, fasteners, how high the tree limbs are. It's small talk. But not meaningless. Then Jake looks up and says, I want him to know how to build things. I nod. So he knows how to fix them when they fall apart. Jake shakes his head. No. So he knows it's okay to ask for help. We start sketching out the plan. Side by side. Pencil scratching paper. Dust in the air. The old radio playing something soft in the background. He hasn't forgiven me. But he let me stand beside him. And that's more than I asked for. That's more than I deserve. And maybe that's what fatherhood is, too. Not being perfect. Not even being present every second. But showing up when it counts. And staying long enough to help your kid build something that lasts. We built the frame in 2 days. Jake brought Liam over the second morning. The boy ran straight to the garage like it was a castle. His small hands went for the screwdrivers first. Plastic ones I hadn't used in years but never threw out. He held them like swords, asking what each one did. Jake watched him with a mix of fear and wonder. The kind of expression I used to wear when Jake was that size, except I didn't know how to show it. I watched from behind newspapers. Behind noise. Behind the wall of being busy. Now I watch with silence, not distance. I show Liam how to measure twice. He giggles when I say, cut once. He thinks I'm a wizard for making lines appear straight with just a pencil and a piece of angled metal. Jake helps lift the beams. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, it's easy. Like we're both pretending we've done this 100 times. Maybe in another life, we did. Or maybe we're just good at faking it. At one point, we're aligning a support post and I hear Jake exhale, real low, like something slipped. I glance at him. He doesn't look at me. Then he says, I didn't know what to do when he was born. I let the level settle. Let the silence hold. I kept thinking, what if I mess it up? What if I become you? It doesn't sting. Not like it should. Because I know. I know exactly what he means. You didn't, I say. He finally looks at me. Didn't what? Become me. He nods. Not with pride. Not with relief. Just acknowledgement. The kind that settles in your chest like a stone you've stopped trying to throw. Liam brings us water bottles like it's a reward. Tells us the treehouse should have a window. Jake tells him to sketch it on the workbench. He does. Crayon and all. The next day, we cut the floorboards. Jake brings over the swing, and tells me he moved it to the backyard. Hung it next to where the treehouse is going. He says Liam asked if the man who built it was coming over again. He told him yes. I nod. Try not to let my throat tighten. Later, when the structure starts to look like something more than planks and intention, Jake sits beside me on the porch steps. We never had this, he says. Porch. Projects. Any of it. No, I say. We didn't. But I want him to. We sit in that. In the grief of what wasn't and the choice to not let it repeat. The sun dips low. Liam's sketch flutters in the wind, pinned beneath a rusted wrench. Jake says, I still get mad sometimes. I know. And I don't forgive you. I wouldn't either. But you came. I nod. I came. We say nothing else. But we stay on that porch. Together. And for now, that's enough. Liam falls asleep in the treehouse before it's even done. Just a tarp for a roof, half the railing installed, and he's out like a light, blanket wrapped around him, toy dinosaur clutched to his chest. Jake lifts him gently and carries him inside without a word. Doesn't ask for help. Doesn't need to. But he leaves the door cracked when he goes in, and that feels like something. I stay on the swing. It creaks under me, not from weight, but from time. It hasn't been used much, but it already feels broken in, like it knew it would belong to this place. Like it was always meant to be here, even if I wasn't. I look at the porch light. Still off. The yard quiet. The wind soft. I try to remember the last time I sat in something I built. I don't think I ever have. I built cabinets for Marlene, but never opened them. Built a table for the neighbor once, never ate at it. Built beds, benches, shelves, and then left. Every time. Never staying long enough to enjoy the thing itself. Just the act of making it. Like creation was all I could handle. Not the keeping. Jake steps outside, now holding 2 beers. He sits beside me. Hands me one. We don't toast. We don't speak. We just drink. Mom would have liked this, he says. I nod. Yeah. She always wanted a place like this. Quiet. A little crooked. Lived in. She was smarter than I ever gave her credit for. She was patient, too. I don't answer that. We both know I was the reason she had to be. Jake leans forward, elbows on his knees, and stares at the ground like he's digging through years. You ever think about leaving? Every day I stayed. He huffs a laugh. Not kind. Not cruel. Just true. Why didn't you? He asks. Because I thought building things for people was enough to make me one of them. He doesn't respond right away. Just picks at a splinter in the swing's armrest. I can tell it bothers him, not the splinter itself, but the fact that it's there at all. A flaw in something I made. You missed a spot, he says. I always do. And we sit with that. Because he knows I'm not just talking about wood. Weeks pass. The treehouse is finished. A window, just like Liam sketched it. A trapdoor, even. Jake added a lantern inside, one that flickers like firelight. Said he wanted it to feel like magic when the kid climbed up there at night. It does. Jake texts sometimes. Sends a photo of Liam holding up a birdhouse we built together, covered in stickers. Asks if I've got any spare stain for a garden bench. One day he even drops off leftover lumber with a note that just says, "Figured you could use it." He doesn't say much. Doesn't need to. He's letting me in. Inch by inch. One night I'm in my garage, just cleaning, not building, and the doorbell rings. It's Liam. Holding a drawing. It's us, he says. You, me, and Daddy. On the porch. I take it. My voice doesn't work right away. So I nod. Look at it. The lines are shaky, the face is all smiles, and the swing is dead center. Daddy says you don't talk a lot, Liam says. But you build nice. That gets me. I kneel. Look him in the eye. Thanks, bud. He hugs me like it's the most natural thing in the world. Like all the years I lost don't matter when a kid decides your family. Jake waits by the truck. I walk over slowly. He wanted to come by, Jake says. I'm glad he did. Jake glances at the swing, barely visible now in the dusk. It still holds. I nod. Yeah. It does. He looks at me. Long measured. I'm not done being angry, he says. But I'm also not done letting you try. And then, he does something I never expected. He sits on the porch swing. And for the first time since I built it, I sit beside him. It creaks. But it holds. We don't talk. We don't have to. Because this time, I stayed. And I sat. And that's what mattered all along.